Yes, we've got some breaking news coming in. Army Chief Bipin Rawat has slammed the United Nations report on Kashmir. Army Chief says, and I quote, that we do not have to be concerned about such reports. Some of these reports are motivated, says Army Chief added that Indian Army has a fine human rights record and the nation knows it. So Army Chief rubbishing the United Nations report, calling it motivated. Remember, even India had rejected the United Nations report at United Nations in Geneva and also called it motivated. Republic TV had broken earlier how Pakistani stooges were seen with senior United Nations.
The Indian government and the Indian army. The human rights record of the Indian army, sir, has always been acceptable.
I don't think we need to speak about the human rights record of the Indian Army. It is well known to all of you. It is well known to the people of Kashmir. It is well known to the international community. So I don't think we should get too concerned about this report. Some of these reports are motivated. The human rights record of the Indian Army is absolutely above board. That's all I wish to say.
Sir, क्या लगता है कश्मीर को लेकर सोशल मीडिया पर जिम्मेदार है कश्मीर में का जो टेररिज्म का प्रॉब्लम इतना बड़ा है सर, उसके लिए लगता है क्या है बंदा निकाले दूंगा। अरे भैया इसको तो जान दो माइक लगाने के लिए।
Thank you, sir.
Really slammed the United Nations report on Kashmir. General Rawat saying that UNHRC report is motivated and India should not be concerned about such records. Nation knows that Indian Army has a very fine human rights record. Remember, India had also rejected the UN report on Kashmir at the UN in Geneva. So, Republic TV getting you the first reaction of Army Chief. Operation All Out is currently on as India continues and our forces continue the effort to terminate terrorism.
The Indian government and the Indian army. The human rights record of the Indian army, sir, has always been acceptable.
You see, I don't think we need to speak about the human rights record of the Indian Army. It is well known to all of you. It is well known to the people of Kashmir. It is well known to the international community. So I don't think we should get too concerned about this report. Some of these reports are motivated. The human rights record of the Indian Army is absolutely above board. That's all I wish to say.
सर, क्या लगता है कश्मीर को लेकर सोशल मीडिया पर इतना जिम्मेदार है टेररिज्म का प्रॉब्लम इतना बड़ा है सर, उसके लिए लगता है कि सोशल मीडिया में इसको गुंडा जो दिखाया जा रहा है वो कहीं ज्यादा जिम्मेदार है सर।
ये सब ज्यादा जिम्मेदार है। ये सब ज्यादा जिम्मेदार है।
Sir, thank you.
चलो गेट पे चलो।
Chief Bipin Rawat, who slammed the United Nations report on Kashmir, saying that we do not have to be concerned about such reports. Some of these reports are motivated. Army Chief says Indian Army has a fine human rights record and the nation knows it. Joining us on this breaking story is our political editor Aishwarya. Aishwarya, just like India rejected the United Nations report at United Nations, now first reaction coming in from the Army Chief as well.
Shobit, and a strong and a clear reaction comes out. The Indian Army Chief completely ridicules the report, says that several of these reports are motivated, and that's the Army Chief staying. And he's also claiming that the reputation of the Indian Army as far as human rights are concerned is world known. So we don't need to comment or we don't need to worry. So it's a clear line coming in from the Indian Army Chief after we saw the India ridiculing the UN report back in New York. Now we have the Indian Army Chief stating that the Indian Army's response to the human resources issue is a known fact. And as far as the UNHRC report is concerned, Shobit, it is something we should not be completely rattled about, because they are rather...
Aishwarya, stay with us. Major General G.D. Bakshi joins us on the phone line on this breaking story. Major General, Army Chief, first reaction by him, dismissing the United Nations report on Kashmir, saying some of these reports are motivated. Do you agree with him?
This particular report definitely needs to be thrown into the trash can. It has been compiled by one Radal Saab of Jordan. And I'm afraid he's letting his subjectivity, his bias show through clearly in this report. Firstly, he
absolutely
called POK Azad Kashmir.
Absolutely. You know, sir, even Republic TV had exposed how the author of this report was pictured with Pakistani stooges with links with Pakistani ISI. So, I mean, he needs to answer. And General Bipin Rawat is right when he says that this report was motivated, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, the two things that clearly give it away, give the motivations of the report and its rapporteur away, are one, that he uses the term Azad Kashmir for Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
Absolutely.
Number two, the United Nations Security Council has designated the Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, and a whole lot of these terrorist organizations operating in Jammu and Kashmir
right, sir.
as such. And he calls them armed groups.
Absolutely,
now,
sir. You're spot on.
Is the authority over and above the UN Security Council? Is this gentleman, Rawat Saab, superseded the UN Security Council? Has he been made the Secretary General? Who is he?
Absolutely.
He is showing his Middle Eastern, and I'm very sorry to state, denominational bias so patently clear that the whole report needs to be jumped and thrown into the
right, sir. Right. Major General G.D. Bakshi, thank you so much for joining us on this breaking news story. Also joining me live now is my colleague Snehesh. Shockingly, the United Nations report appeared to give a clean chit to these terrorist groups, known terrorist groups, calling them armed groups. And now Army Chief has come out and totally rubbished that report, saying that some of these reports may be motivated.
You know, absolutely. There is no question about the fact that this UN report, the UNHRC report, was nothing but a motivated report. You know, Republic has reported from the day one how the ISI stooges and ISI agents were behind this particular report. You know, the fact remains that the report doesn't take into account that the biggest problem facing the people of Kashmir is terrorism, and terrorism that is supported by Pakistan. So today the Army Chief has been very clear and very vocal when he said that one should not be concerned about such reports because these are motivated reports. Now he's dismissed the report outrightly, and India too, the government has gone ahead and rejected this biased one-sided report which doesn't take into account the realities.
Absolutely. Snehesh getting us that big breaking news. I would like to thank Aishwarya also for joining us. It's time now for a very short break on Republic TV, but news and updates will continue on the other side with my colleague Soyesha. Stay with us.